Welcome to the Salon Owner's Holistic Blueprint, your podcast for unlocking the secrets to a thriving salon business through holistic practices. I'm Jacqueline Rodriguez, your host, and join me each week as we explore wellness, sustainability, and business success. Everything from attracting conscious clients to adopting eco-friendly practices. We're going to cover it all to elevate your salon business. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Salon Owner's Holistic Blueprint podcast. I'm your hostess, Jacqueline Rodriguez, and I empower salon owners to create profitable, impactful, clean, green, and sustainable businesses. And I'm also the co-founder of the Green Beauty community, which you can find in the show links. We have today, I'm so excited to have this conversation. We're going to talk about some really amazing topics on how to find healthy ingredients in your products. And we have Mikey Ben, and he is very passionate about hairdressing and sustainability and so many other amazing interests that I will let him introduce himself.
Hi, thanks so much, Jacqueline. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Mikey Ben. The two E's in my name, M-I-K-E-E, stand for the environment and everything. Those are the two things that I care about most. So I feel like I fit right in on this podcast and this green beauty community we're hoping to create. But I chose the environment and everyone as the two things because the environment is tantamount to everything we do as human beings. It's integrated with all, living things, plants, animals, humans, and weather and all that stuff. So that to me is the foundation that lets me then care about everyone and everything. So my philosophy is if we have no environment, there's nothing else to fight for. So that's always going to be number one in my, book. My pronouns are he, him, for anyone who's interested, and I am a Harrisburg, Pennsylvania-based salon owner and cosmetologist, among other things. I've been licensed here for going on 14 years, so I love the industry. I love showcasing my environmental and eco-friendly, talents, if you will, and sharing them with everyone who is willing to go on this journey. An interesting thing about me is I was born here in Harrisburg, but my parents rejoined the military when I was about 9 years old. So I got the privilege, opportunity, chance of a lifetime to travel all over the world to different states, different countries, different continents even, and gain a beautiful respect for the world that, gives us all life, but also to broaden my horizons and learn acceptance of other cultures and figure out things that maybe other people can do better than we are here. So I wanted to take all of that makes me who I am, and I brought it right back here to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, where I've been setting up a little bit of a business empire, if you will. I have a parent company called Metro Enterprises, and my tagline, my byline for that is sustainable ventures in business. So I have my salon, that's going well, but I also almost 2 years ago opened a pole dance and aerial art studio. And I wanted to do that as well to showcase my eco-friendly efforts in a different territory, but also it had been a great part of my mental and physical health care over the past couple of years as well. But as I was researching that, I realized that a lot of it is just an initial investment. And I tried to use the best, carbon neutral shipping for ordering stuff. I tried to use the best vendors that I could to set it up in alignment with my goals when it comes to eco-friendliness and sustainability. And what I realized is it's actually a pretty eco-friendly business. Because once I did a lot of the initial investment, mostly it's just, finding safe and effective cleaning products and, ordering, a sweat towel here and there. So it ended up being a very, it was a lot of work up front, but now it kind of just runs itself. And I don't feel like it's a huge detriment to the environment. So that's what Metro Enterprises is doing right now. And I would love to get into whatever we're talking about today, Jacqueline.
I love that so much. First, I think it's so cool that you have other interests, right? I'm a multifaceted entrepreneur as well, and I love so many different parts of creating businesses, but so rarely do we see the enjoyment of getting to do multiple things. So first off, so cool that you're in the industry and sustainable. And second, like I totally want to come and do aerial with you because how fun would that be? Like I want one in my home, but I have not done it yet. So I want to come do it with you someday.
Maybe one day we can host a holistic aerial arts retreat here in Harrisburg.
Please. Yes, how amazing. And that's not too far from me because I grew up in Harrisonburg, Virginia. So everybody always thinks it's Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. They get them mixed up all the time.
Well, we can just tell everyone we're sisters.
Exactly. Yes, I love it. So let's get into the nitty-gritty, right? We're going to talk about how to find healthy ingredients in our products because this is a huge topic. I talk a lot about it, but there's so much misconception out there. So I would love to go straight away into the top 10 ingredients to stay away from. Like, what is your idea on that?
Yes, that is such a great topic. And it's one I actually like just made a permanent slide in my pitch deck, if you will, because it's a topic I love coming back to over and over and over. And it's things that people still, even to this day, might not be aware of. But before that, I want to give a little caveat as to how I got interested in this. When I was in beauty school and starting to form, my talents and skills, I became aware of another issue that kind of affects the environments and us human beings, if you will, in the form of genetic engineering and some of the science that's going on when it comes to farming and agriculture, which then led into my, beauty career. So I was the organizer for a now defunct activism group called March Against Monsanto. And just a preface here, a disclaimer, if you will, I am all for science. I am all for progress. I am all for doing things in a, scientific manner. I love using the scientific method. However, I was aware of things that were being put in and on our foodstuffs that could potentially have, life-altering changes to our cellular level, maybe even down to our DNA. And while I'm okay with the science that translates not only into the food, but also like vitamins and nutrients and supplements and beauty products and makeup and shampoo and all that, I'm all down for progress and science, but I think we just need to make sure that it's healthy long-term for us to put in and on our bodies. So that's when I really started researching what is in the things that I'm eating. Then I go to beauty school and I'd be like, well, what are in the things that I'm putting on myself, my face, my clients? And it sent me on this journey. And it was a long journey for me, to figure out where I am today, and a daunting one at that, but I was willing to put in the work. So with that said, I came up with these kind of 10 ingredients, like the top 10 ones that I would recommend staying away from. And they tend to be in a lot of things, sold outside of our professional and holistic salon areas. So I want to go through, and I'm just going to give the list a little bit quickly. I always love anyone reaching out to me on social media platforms or email or, leave a rating and review on the, podcast. We can check those. But then I want to touch on 3 of those that can be a little bit more hazardous. So number 1, and there are good ones and bad ones of this, but that is silicones. And a lot of the silicones tend to be what causes a product buildup. And product buildup on our hair or on our skin can, cause a whole host of different, maladies, if you will, from hair breakage, dry skin, splotchy skin, all those kind of things. So silicones is one of the things that I love to stay away from. And then there's also bentrimonium chloride, which I think are found in a lot of soaps, and soaps can be, drying as they are. But the bentrimonium chloride ones can be just a little bit stronger. So it kind of strips our skin from the stuff that it needs. Then there's also synthetic and artificial colors. And there's a little bit of extracurricular research going on about that, where there are some people who may have an allergy to certain, color molecules that are synthetic, or I'm sorry, natural. So there may be like a case for some people being okay to have synthetic or artificial colors, but most of us, I don't think that we need it. I think we've all, heard of red 40, blue lake, yellow 6, and all of those things. Sometimes they're not necessarily needed. And maybe might be best to just stay away from number 4 is going to be triclosan. This is also tend to be found in like a lot of soaps that we use. And we all know since 2020, hopefully we were all washing our hands before then, but maybe a little bit more now. Triclosan is actually one that can enter our bloodstream. And the reason that these ingredients matter to me is because some of them only take 28 seconds to go through the barrier of our skin into our blood system. And once it's in our bloodstream, our circulatory system takes it all around our body. Who knows what it can jump off and hit, internally, organs. Some things can cross the blood-brain barrier and get into our brain and cause who knows what. So I try to stay away from those, triclosan being one of them.
I want to touch on that real quick, because I think that that's a really important part that we really recognize, right? Because we see hairstylists, beauty professionals, where we are touching things like this is important for everyone, right? But we're in the industry where we're not just worried about what we're putting on ourselves, because then we're touching these products and ingredients, sometimes without gloves, all day long, for days at a time, for years at a time. And we've seen studies that really say, like, not only are these harmful, but because of the amount that we're touching and we're around all the time, that it can increase our likelihood of getting certain things, like, even to the lowest thing of like irritants. I literally have had stylists that I know who had to get out of the industry because they developed, I'm not going to say it right now. Not eczema, but the one that's like a little bit higher up. I can't think of it. Starts with a P.
Psoriasis.
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. With that, because of the products that they're touching all the time. And then I have stylist friends who had to get out of the industry completely because they literally, like, just being in the salon would have a bad allergy attack and not be able to breathe. And then we have even studies saying about cancer and how things build up. So this is really, really important to know these things, because it's not just that we're using it once a day, but what is the long-term effect of such a heavy use in our industry? So just to put that out there.
That's such a great point. And I, being Mikey with 2 E's, I care about the environment and everyone. So I've actually kind of reverse engineered, my salon, if you will, to be safer for me, because as I was researching all of these ingredients and products and brands to make my environment safe for my clients, I inadvertently made my own health. I get blood work occasionally and it always comes back amazing. I exercise on a regular basis. I always feel, strong and empowered and energized. And I sleep every night like clockwork, 11 p.m. My eyes close 6:30 in the morning, sometimes 6:45. But, I'm awake and I feel rested. So all of these things, I feel like in the long term have kept me looking younger, feeling younger, and hopefully will launch me into a long career where I can help share all of this knowledge with you.
And there's a stigma around beauty professionals of how much or how little we take care of ourselves. So this is one of the things, like, really with this podcast I want to show, and why I'm so intent on being around salon owners, like anybody in the industry, but really focusing in on salon owners, is because we have such a responsibility and we get to change the narrative. We don't have to put ourselves last. We don't have to worry about only the clients or only our staff before we start taking care of ourselves. Like you did, you reverse engineered it. So you are taking care of yourself, and in turn, you are taking care of anyone you would work with, any client that would come in. And it's such an important part that I don't think we talk about enough. So thank you for bringing that piece up.
Yes, and I will tell you, my clients have seen over the years, I have people who I've been doing since beauty school, so 13 plus years, and they have seen and are aware of and are so proud to be my clients because they've seen everything that I've been able to do. Sometimes I get pushback like, isn't this very expensive to do? And yes, it can be, but not if you take baby steps, which I've done over 13 years. Doesn't it take a lot of time? Yes, it does. It's taken me 13 plus years to get here, but is it worth it? Will your clients come back? I get new client requests all the time. As a salon owner behind the chair, people are still requesting me and then talking about a whole bunch of different facets of sustainability. My financial stability and well-being is very well as well. So there are people out there who do know about what we're speaking and they want these services. They want these environments and these products in their life.
For sure, for sure. That's a whole nother episode, but we had to at least touch on that because it's worth hearing that paying attention to what ingredients you shouldn't be using and what to look for, that awareness, right, is not only going to be good for your clients, your staff, but for yourself. And it is okay, more than okay, to take care of yourself as a beauty professional. So I'll let you get back to the actual ingredients, but that was key.
That was also good. I'm just going to go over the three kind of biggest ones on my list. And I have this slide. If anyone ever wants to DM me, I can, send it to you, Jacqueline. That way, anyone has this information available. But benzene, ethanolamines, and formaldehyde, I think, are three big ones. The formaldehyde was made very popular when the Brazilian and keratin straightening treatments became available. And what they've been able to do with formaldehyde is just appalling to me in terms of we're not using formaldehyde in our brand, but they would chemically change it a little bit so that heat or water or some other energetic change would turn the products back into formaldehyde. So that one is just one that I always want to be so mindful about. And I think I have 6 variants of what they've turned formaldehyde in the slide that I can give to anyone who should ever want it. But I'm sure that there's more. So formaldehyde, ethanolamines, and benzene. I'm sorry, benzene is the other one that became a little bit popular as extensions were taking over the past few years, because benzene was in certain products with SPF, so sunblock, and that can not only wreak havoc inside us, which I think should have been the bigger topic, but it can discolor our extensions. So those 3 are known carcinogens. They're listed on many different, governmental and organizational websites and documentations. I would definitely stay away from those 3. So that's my list that I can give to anyone whenever.
And I love that because we're touching on it, and you've touched on what products they're in as well. I know for me, as the salon owner, we do not offer any keratin Brazilian straight. It's just not something we offer here. Everybody is has their own opinion, can do whatever that they see right for their place. But it was one of those standards that I just couldn't put myself, my staff, or my clients at risk with that, because it is, even though we heard about the whole formaldehyde thing, and then they go and change it, it's all greenwashing. Formaldehyde freed, fantastic. But just because it doesn't have formaldehyde, but the second, what is the one thing you have to, or the 2 things that you have to do? Use heat and wash. Those 2 things immediately make it go back to the toxic carcinogenic that we were all trying to stay away from. So it's having that awareness of what is available to you. And there are some things in the industry that are just a non-negotiable for me, that we just don't offer the service. Now you have to come up with that on your own, whether that's something you're willing to do or not, or be aware that just because it says formaldehyde free doesn't really make it formaldehyde free.
Yes, and that goes with a lot of different ingredients and a lot of different products. that create a lot of different effects. But I will say, having done some of this research, it is very easy to Google any ingredient, and usually a Wikipedia article will come up. They'll give you a chemical molecular breakdown of it. There'll be a couple related articles, and going through this, it's not all bad. There are things that I have, picked up, just a bottle of shampoo or a leave-in conditioner. And I'm like, well, we're just going to Google the whole list today, on my lunch break. And there are some things, like a lot of the proteins and organics are usually followed by the word hydrolyzed wheat protein, hydrolyzed silk, hydrolyzed olive oil, whatever they're going to call it. And those things are just very usually safe, natural, organic ingredients that are made so that they're attracted to the water when we're shampooing or towel dried and spraying in leave-in conditioner. So I know that like hydrolyzed silk protein might sound a little scary because, oh, it's a chemistry word, but the chemistry behind it is safe. So like there are definitely things on ingredient lists that sound a little scarier than they are, but can be very good for our health and well-being, and even more so good to rinse down the drain when we're shampooing somebody too, because that's another thing that I always have to think about. So this list of what we went over are bad things that I certainly know we should probably stay away from. But most salon grade, professional, eco-friendly, sustainable ingredients that haven't been greenwashed, I know that was a long, caveat. They tend to have a lot of good science behind them as well.
Yeah. Well, it's important because we are like, if it were just, okay, we're using, every organic part of for a shampoo. I mean, at that point, we're having to look at refrigerating it. You're not going to be able to just buy it off the shelf and, keep it for a month or two. Like, we have to think realistically. And that was one of the biggest pushbacks when I started shifting things over. Now, I started shifting everything in my salon about 12 years ago, but I've been in the industry for 20 some. So I know, like, I'm Redken, classically trained Redken artist. So I had very high expectations of what my products were going to do and not do. One of the things that I had to realize was like, okay, there are some synthetics things. There's chemistry behind this, because if not, we're throwing it in the refrigerator, and that's the only way we can keep it to have on the shelf. And that was just not something that I nor my clients were willing to do. So keeping that green chemistry in mind and utilizing the time to see what is okay to use, what's not. And that's why, tune into the podcast. We're always going to be talking about different breakdowns and things you should and shouldn't, or can, or, just maybe stay away from in the industry. So those are really big things. But I wanted to get into the next item because like we could have a 2-hour podcast on all of this. But what is the difference between labels? Like, how do we even know what, if we don't want to, go and look up every item on our lunch break, how do we know what to choose?
So being, a military brat or an army brat, if you will, and having traveled to many different places, I have certainly at this point in my life become a little bit more of an expert when it comes to the US standards of labeling versus some of the things that I have seen around the world. And there are some bigger ones like OMRI listings on agricultural products that kind of do transcend on a global standard. But there are a lot of buzzwords too. Clean, natural, that might not be as strong of a label as something like a USDA organic or vegan certified. There are a couple like really big vegan certification companies here in the US. And so if you see one of those labels, that is going to be something that we can trust a little bit more. And I know that there's a whole bunch of opinions on which entities we can and cannot trust. However, for the most part, I think most people in the world are just trying to do the best they can with the tools and knowledge available. And I think that the people at the USDA are genuinely good people who do have our best interests at heart. And when they go out and do their rules and regulations to certify something organic, whether it's a product that gets put in a bottle, a foundation that gets put in a compact, or food that gets put in our grocery stores, there's going to be a little bit of an extra trust factor for me when I see USDA organic or OMRI listed or cruelty-free. That's another one, because not everything that's cruelty-free is vegan. There can certainly be, products. And a big one for me that I use in one of my main lines in my salon is silk. And silk, as we know, comes from a silkworm. Mm-hmm. However, there are, very humane ways to grow and cultivate silkworms. And there are, pretty humane ways. So, having the cruelty-free means that no harm has come to these animals. So we can still use and utilize, animal byproducts for great skin and hair and health benefits without necessarily needing to be cruel or to test on them. I will never use anything that's tested, on any animals ever. The science behind that doesn't really make sense to me, especially at this point. But there's recycling is another one. So those three little recycling arrows, they can be a little bit tricky too. Most of them will have the recycling arrows with a number on the inside, and the number does not necessarily denote which like how high or low the level of recycling is. It just tells the people who are recycling what the byproducts are when they do recycle. And a lot of the recycling plants, and this is a whole nother podcast.
I was just thinking that.
they don't want products that aren't going to be profitable. So I have a jingle, if you will, of the things that I like to see the recycling things on, and that's 2, 4, 5 to stay alive, because those are the ones that tend to get recycled more often. So if you see 1, a 3, a 7, even, maybe put that down and try to find one that has a 2 or a 4. So like there's so many things when it comes to labeling, but USDA organic, when I see that, I trust it. When I see, vegan certified, I trust that. And when I see the recycling symbols with the 2, 4, or 5, I'm a little bit more apt to pick those products up.
And that's such an important thing, because we're all just trying to do the best that we can. And if we have at least some guidance to know what to look for, it does make our lives easier. Because there's products all over the place, right? And we're just inundated day in and day out with new products. And just because they say on the front, natural, organic, clean, green, any of those, flip it around. And one of my biggest things, like I really, really talk about in my academy and through everything, right, is finding the mission and the vision of the company that you're putting your hard-earned money into. Like, take a second to look at their website, like do a deep dive of like, what are they standing for? Because if they are truly green and sustainable, they're going to be shouting it from the rooftops. If something says green or organic or sustainable, and you can't find anything on like their mission on their website, like that might not be the one you want to go with. Like, just take the time to look at that, because it's really important to look at, how does the product work, but what does that company stand for? Because that's going to give you so much. And, obviously you can't take it for everything, right? You have to do your due diligence, but it will show you a lot more if the company is prone to greenwashing or if they really do actually care.
And just to share a bit of a vulnerability about myself, if you will, there were times, even on my mission to save the environment and care about everyone, that I was stressed depressed, anxious. I'm like, oh my goodness, there's so much that goes into this. How can I keep going? What am I going to do? A new line just came out, or somebody, found this in a bigger brand. And what is this? And I just had to take a minute and realize how empowered I felt when I could vote with my dollar. How amazing it was that I could sit here with the entirety of the world's knowledge at my fingertips in my smartphone, Google a company, research a brand, do a Wikipedia article, go to a government organization website and find out exactly what I wanted and needed to know. I was like, man, I work really hard for my money and I am going to spend the dollars how I see fit.
Oh, so empowering. So empowering. And we don't think about it enough. We don't realize that we truly are voting on what we are okay with, what we're backing with our dollar. So that's why it's even more important as a salon owner where you're putting all your money into everything, like vote with that money. Vote, and it will make a huge difference. And in true transparency as well, I mean, there were times where I was like, yeah, I don't know if I can keep doing this, because I would be in complete tears or like feel a part of me being pulled when I had to use something in the salon that there was no option for. There are still things in the salon that we literally just do not have an option, like a cleaner option for. So remembering that this is a step by step, and the one step you make, I promise, is making ripple effects everywhere. So even if it's just one thing and you choose in your salon today that you're just going to do, you will not bring anything in that is not cruelty free. That makes a difference. And those tiny little steps, and don't allow this to be so overwhelming, because we both have been there. And I mean, I know there was plenty of times that I wanted to just give up, where I would be literally in tears of like not knowing, how to handle this. And my husband's just like, I don't know. Like, we never did this. Like, what are you doing? Just breathe, use Fabuloso or whatever. I'll never forget it. But making those small changes really do make a huge difference, and picking the one thing that is the most important to you right now is going to help you like just ease that and get into the routine, because it's like a trickle effect. Or I like to say, when I started down this journey, it was like Pandora's box. I opened it up and there were so many different things, but each thing that I did led me to like just adding one more thing on, because it was ingredients for me when I started, but now everything down to like, it's a holistic view of how are people being treated? What are, the pay rates? And we'll go into that another episode as well. But there's so many pieces that it is easy to get overwhelmed, but just taking that one little step.
And then one day you can be sitting in, I call this my YouTube studio, where I, make my YouTube videos, have my webinars. So one day after all of that, I'm now sitting in my YouTube studio with my fancy lights, my microphone and my technology that's all powered by the solar panels that are sitting right on top of my roof. And it's just a whole bunch of baby steps to get me to this awesome, eco-friendly, sustainable life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Such a big thing. So to keep going on our mission here is, which products should they start with? Like, switch over first.
So I usually cover this as like a base layer, no matter what we're looking at. If we're, picking one product out of all the hair products, in our salon or in our bathroom for our home routine, I am always going to err on the side of find a clean, green, certified, organic, vegan, whatever cause is important to you at that moment. Find your shampoo. Because as a hairstylist, I definitely understand that not all shampoos are created equally. Some work better for me, some work better for others, depending on our outcomes. But the shampoo that I use in my shower and the shampoo that I use at my back bar, which is what we call our, shampoo stations at the salon, or where our products are, the shampoo is going to set me up for success. If I cannot clean the hair safely and effectively and eco-friendly and sustainably, I can't create any kind of a blank canvas on which to create my magic, whether that's hair color, a haircut, a blowout, curls, flat iron, whatever. If I don't have a shampoo, and I have heard people say, Mikey, should I get a better shampoo or should I get a better conditioner? Some people tell me conditioner. I would hate to recommend somebody getting a good conditioner to not clean their hair properly or effectively or safely or sustainably, and then have that conditioner go on and slide right off down the drain. It's like, $50 for a conditioner and it's not doing anything. So I would always recommend shampoo and conditioner to start with. But if it's only one, the first thing is that base layer, the shampoo. So find one that's sulfate free, doesn't have triclosan, no artificial colors, no formaldehyde. Hopefully they're not putting formaldehyde in shampoos, but you never know.
That would be a new one.
So start with the shampoo, that's your base layer. When it comes to like your makeup foundation, that is going to, or if you are into more of a routine, your moisturizer. Or even if before that, if your base layer is your face wash, like find that first thing that sets you up for success down the rest of your routine and make sure that that is going to be as safe and sustainable as possible. And then the third thing is like our food. I know when I got into this, there were the Dirty Dozen of food products that were just the worst when it came to pesticides, herbicides, genetic engineering, things that they were doing that maybe we shouldn't be eating. So, those, the Dirty Dozen were the first to eliminate. And then I think there was like I don't remember the moniker for the clean ones. It was like the clean 10 and the Dirty Dozen or something like that. So, but that was the base layer. Those are the things that got me into the habit of building the baby steps to get to where I am now. So yeah, that would be my best recommendations.
Building that foundation, because if you build a rocky foundation, everything kind of falls around it anyway. So that's a great tip. Thank you for that, because I love how you said, the $50 conditioner will just go down. So true, and it really is about building the foundation and taking one brick at a time for the rest of your journey. So I am so happy that you were able to be here. Thank you so much for sharing all of your knowledge, your awesomeness. And, that's what the podcast is all here about, is really raising awareness around what can we do and highlighting the people who are doing it, taking the time to do this. It does not have to be a hard journey. It can be, there's a lot of work into it, but it does not have to be hard. And it does not have to be a lonely journey. Reach out. We're both human. I love DMing. I can probably DM about this like all day long. I know Mikey can as well. So reach out to us. Let us know, what did you take away from this? What questions do you have? And look in the show notes, because I'm always putting stuff in there, links, so that we can make sure that you get the list of everything that we talked about here today. And like and subscribe so you can keep getting more information and meet more amazing humans who are doing amazing things, not only in the beauty industry, but really in the world. It really does make a big difference. So thank you again for being here and sharing all your goodness with us.
Thank you for having me. And like you said, I am at Metro Mikey. That's METROMIKEE for my 2 E's. I'm at Metro Mikey on all platforms. So feel free wherever you want to get a hold of me. I tell all my clients, my friends, my family, I don't always respond quickly, but I always respond.
I love that. Yes, thank you. And all of your information will be in the show notes as well, so that we try to make it easy. Just click on the show notes so you can find both of us. Make sure you follow us and have a beautiful rest of your day.
Thanks, Jacqueline. It's been an honor.
Thank you for tuning in to the Salon Owner's Holistic Blueprint. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow and subscribe. Until next time, stay inspired, stay passionate, and keep thriving in the world of holistic beauty.